Welcome to SOCA Say So, and welcome to the DJ Turntable. This is where we're going to get to know our DJs a little bit more. We're going to sit down and get to know their path to becoming DJs and what they think about SOCA, the music, the industry, the artists, and you, the fetters, and how they like to get down in the parties. Today we have Dr. J coming all the way from Toronto, and we have DJ Little B right here in Brooklyn representing hard. And he's also representing for Grenada.
Grenada, Caracol, if you mind.
Yes! Excuse me! And Dr. J, you're representing Trinidad?
Well, Toronto, Ontario, Canada, you know, so we're going to go with it. But no, the background, my dad's from Trinidad and my mom's Guyanese. But I was born and raised in Toronto, so yeah.
I never knew that. They're from Trinidad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, you learn something.
You learn something. That's why we have to turn to.
So we'd like to know how you guys got started in the game. When did you start DJing?
Kind of just fell in my lap, you know, since I was 8 years old. Like, I had one turntable and playing at house parties, the speakers, no Caribbean people like the party. So any little thing we have a party for, and I was just like a DJ. And then like I just got into it. I mean, family was buying records for me at that age, and then for my 11th or 12th birthday, my brother that came up from Grenada, he was up here for a while, down south, it just popped up like on my birthday with a U-Haul truck full of equipment, and my parents were like, where are you going with all this stuff? And it's like, this is for him, he wants to DJ, this is for him, and I'm like, yes! And like every night I'm in the basement with, and you know back in the days, those big speakers, not like power speakers and all that stuff now, so it's like, the house is just rumbling every day, and you're like, oh my gosh, like, you know what I mean? That's pretty much how I got started. Big on my brother Jerry, who's back in Caracol, Grenada right now.
You know, it's a similar kind of path. My dad sings in Toronto. He had a band and stuff, and my uncle, I don't know if you heard of the Trade Winds? Yeah, he's part of that, one of the founding members. So I came from that kind of musical family, you know? So there's always been records in the house, and they have pictures of me at like 3 years old putting on records, because we used to have one of those that you put 3 on top, you know, one could drop down. I don't want to show my age. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so they're really
So it's one of them. So I guess my dad always had this thing of, instead of telling you, well, don't touch that, you'd rather show me how to do it, you know? So it's like, okay, when you come here, you push this button, this will happen, and I was just, you know, used to watch that and be fascinated by it. And we always used to have people come over, so what I was told, because I was so young, I don't really remember, but for me it was at 4 or 5 years old when family would come over, anytime there was a little action in the house, I would run to the record player and pull out like Sugar Boom Boom or one of those kind of songs so that I would see everybody smile and that would make me happy. So that's how they told me I started to get that vibe. And it just kind of took off from there. It was just similar to what he said, like it kind of fell in my lap. It wasn't something where I had this grand plan to become a DJ, and you know, it just kind of happened over time where the way we mixed as young kids was different than a lot of the older DJs back in Toronto. So when they were doing their parties, the way they mixed, when we come in and do what we do, it was like, wow, right. You know what I'm saying? It was like,
exactly.
So that is how I kind of got that reputation, and it kind of took off.
You've been to Berlin, you've been to Israel.
I haven't been to Berlin.
Oh, sorry, you've been to Berlin.
Dr.
You've been to Israel.
I've been to Israel, I've been to France, I've been to Croatia, I've been to Grenada, Montreal, Toronto.
So can we say that SOCA is now global?
Yeah. I mean, a lot of different countries, like I mentioned, like doing carnival, like I said, I didn't even know that Berlin even had a carnival. Like, and I'm like, SOCA good at a carnival, so I called my other skinny right away, like, yo, really somewhere to Berlin? Like, yeah. I know that made his head probably blow up crazy, but I was just like,
That is true. What do you think is the disconnect? You know, why is it a one-off here, one-off here? I mean, we've been to Carnegie Hall, you know, we've been pushing to get on the Grammys, you know, we've been close, we've been on most other big award stages, and we've been into a lot of huge arenas across the globe. What is the disconnect? Why don't we feel settled in SOCA music?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think even when I think back, I remember Peter Minshall, a big, legendary mass man from Trinidad. He did like the Olympics, right? Our culture has definitely, and by our, I don't just mean Trinidad, the whole Caribbean, because when somebody sees that, they think of the Caribbean. And there's so many people from all over the world who visit the Caribbean, the various carnivals, whether it's crop over in Barbados, Vinci Mas, St. Lucia, Antigua, you name it. To me, all over the world, people come in and hear it. But I think the infrastructure, for whatever reason, is missing. So the whole foundation, you can't build a house on a weak foundation, right? So what happens is, it's a quick hustle, no disrespect to the Skinny Bantons and, other artists who will have a big hit. But I'm sure if I search on iTunes right now, I can't find the song, right? And the song is huge, right? I took a chance and played it in Berlin and somebody happened to catch it on, I think we put it on Instagram. But it was something where I was shocked how many people, I knew it's a big song, so I played it, but I didn't realize it would have connected with them to that degree, you know what I mean? They eat schnitzel and sausage and bratwurst. What do they know about soca and sausage? But the song is a good song. Good music is good music. So at the end of the day, even if the concept of the song may not be, as readily available to the average person from Europe, there are Caribbean people who live in Europe though, who do know what to do with saltfish, and you must soak it, right? So for them, it's something that it will carry over. And once that vibe catches from this part of the crowd, it must spread. And I think that's what happens with the music. Unfortunately, because we don't have the infrastructure, as you were saying, it's like a one song will break here, a one song will break there, and people will jump on that one song. So Kevin Little will get his forward, Ruby will get his forward, James E.P. Allison Hines, everybody gets a little forward. Right now, as you said, Bungy's getting his, but it's not the music necessarily. It's the one song that everyone will say, oh, I love it, it sounds good, it takes you back to the islands, and that feels good. But what about the music? What about as a whole, as opposed to this one song from this one island, this one from that one? I think we need to somehow lay the solid foundation across the board.
Well, I think that makes me think of two things. One, some people might say that foundation has to come from the government. So in Jamaica, the Jamaican government will make sure that there may be some classes in the schools for kids to learn how to play music, to learn how to produce music. There's going to be some different movements towards large festivals that you can have the large festivals outside of a carnival, so that the music is played all year long. So do you see any backing coming from the other islands in terms of soca music?
Well, of course, some certain islands do back the artists, and certain islands, I guess, I don't know if they don't have the funding or whatever I guess they try to support it any way that they can. As far as me being from Grenada, Caracou, it's I feel Grenada kind of they support the artists in a way, but I don't think they're pushing them in that way. So guys like Tom Cree, he got an ambassador, so he's on a diplomatic passport, Killer right now, so an ambassador, so they do it to that extent. But
because you're right, these artists are, even if they're not officially ambassadors, they are ambassadors for these countries, because wherever they go, they're spreading, they're representing, they're coming with their big flag, and everybody's going to know exactly where they're coming from.
Right.
But then also another piece about the foundation comes from actually what is soca music. Soca music is chutney soca, it's raga soca, it's groovy soca, power, this, that. When you say what is hip hop, you go to a class and someone can tell you this is the cadence, this is the count, this is the count for rock and roll. Rock and roll sounds very different, from song to song, but there is a bass. Someone can say this is the count, this is the count, this is what it is. Can you tell me what the count is for soca? Can you tell me what is the very basic, if you had to just make a basic soca song, what is that supposed to sound like? I don't know if there's enough unity within the music itself for the music to be pushed forward.
Right, and I think that's where I was going to go with after your comment there, because for me, what I see living in Toronto is I just don't see, you need somebody with enough foresight and enough vision. Like I feel like in the Caribbean, it's a hustle. So if somebody is a soca artist, it's like they're doing it as a thing to make a quick buck for that season, right? And if it carries them through and it breaks into Trinidad, wicked, right? But they're not taking it as somebody would take a real business and sit down and have, okay, a 5-year plan, this is what I have to do, this is the setup, and I think it needs somebody, whether from a producer standpoint, the government standpoint, as I said, there's not enough unity moving forward for somebody to actually sit down and say, okay, sure, iTunes having a SOCA tab now is a step in the right direction, but that's not the finish line. You know, us being on 106 and Park, that's great, but that's not the finish line. Like, we shouldn't be complacent now. And I think what I'm seeing now is Bungie is doing well, and it becomes, all right, well, SOCA reach. You know what I mean? Even if we win a Billboard Award or a Grammy Award, that's not the end goal. Like, I think when a Latino artist made it, they didn't say, all right, we good. No, like what Pitbull is doing isn't just Latin music. You understand? Right. But he still represents that culture. So I think within the Caribbean, and using Pitbull as an example, he has definitely taken a lot of nuances from Machel. Like you've seen that in some of his performances. And that is why he was coming to Machel Monday year after year after year, because they were brethren and it looked good to say you had Pitbull, to the point of Trinidad was saying, listen, we fed up on Pitbull. Like, give me a chance at Pitbull. 1 year now, right? But when you look at it globally, that is huge for such a guy like that who had a big song with Neo and things, you know, to be on that stage in a Trinidad. You know, so, but it was getting to the point where even Trinidadians were like, I don't care how much awards you win, we fed up. Right? And it's almost like that mentality, like you're not seeing the bigger picture. Like imagine how this looks globally. And unfortunately, it's one group of people will be able to monetize it. But it's not for the music as a whole, because there's no actual association that is formed in order to make this grow.
See, the problem we're having, like even with Grenada, is just that, like, you know how every island goes and represents in the international soca monarch, like, you know what I mean? I don't think the government is really helping the artists that win soca monarch in Grenada to really go there. So sometimes a lot of artists have problems trying to get to Trinidad on the big stage, which is an international soca monarch, and showcase our country. Like, you know what I mean? A lot of artists have to do it on their own. So, I mean, yeah, you gotta push your own music, but I mean, the country has to be behind it too. You're going to represent them in an international soca monarch. The country should definitely be behind you, making sure that, you know, you go in there and represent our island. Now, it brings more tourism to us. Everybody, you know, everybody's probably like, yo, Mr. Killer, he performed mine in Trinidad. Like, you know what I mean? Now, making people, tourists want to come into Grenada. And it's just like, you know what I mean? That's just a bill for us. I mean, everybody says Grenada is in so much debt, and it's just, we need money in any way, like, you know what I mean? And this is a way to bring tourism in, like, you know, but I guess they don't see it that way. I don't really know. We're the land of job, and job is like the big thing right now. Like, even in New York, wherever, everybody just loves job. Like, as we were speaking off camera, like, you know what I mean? How many Tuesday parties there is in New York right now? Like, a guy said, I remember in like April, somebody put up, or Trinity DJ put up, said, about 30 Juve parties this summer. Let's see how this turns out. Like, it's from where? And like, you know what I mean? Where all these parties come out from? But, you know, everybody likes it now. I mean, it's a Grenadian, everybody feels it's a Grenadian thing, but you know, now it's like, that's what they do. They try to money.
So maybe we need a record label around soca music. Maybe we need more education at the younger ages for new artists and for the development of new artists. And then we also need appreciation for the artists that are already there. There's a lot of older soca artists who, you know, don't have any support, don't have a pension, don't have anything. So if you're a younger artist and you want to push through to this thing, you're saying, well, maybe I really shouldn't invest in this genre of music because it's not really going to be fruitful in the future.
Right.
That might be.
And that kind of works even the same way, even as a DJ, some people feel like, you know what I mean, you being a Caribbean DJ playing reggae or soca, it's like, how far is that really going to get you? Like, you have to really crush it. Like, if you're a rap DJ, Funkmaster Flex or whatever, it's like, this is what makes you like big, or this is what makes you in that sense. Like, you know, like any Charles and Trini, and he's more on the hip hop side right now, and he's doing very well with it. I mean, I guess, you know, sometimes you have to cross over to be who you want to be. I mean, you have certain lucky guys, or certain talented people, should I say, like myself, Dr. J, and you know, other DJs, Spice, whoever that travels around and are able to do this. But a lot of people feel like, and especially Caribbean people, even like the older folks, they feel like music, even if you're an artist or a DJ, you really can't do it for a living. They always feel like, oh, like, are you gonna get a job, or this is the type of job you need? Like, they don't see no future in the whole being a DJ or being an artist, and that could also be a problem too. Like, it goes. I mean, I just think it's just a West Indian culture, because even with the kids and stuff, like, you know, very few Caribbean kids are in the NBA playing basketball because, you know, parents don't want to let them out. Like, where you going? Like, and I coach youth basketball so in New York, so I know, like, American parents, like, the kids call their own shots. They be going on trips, Las Vegas, wherever. Sometimes parents don't even know. Sometimes they call their own shot. But Caribbean parents like, oh, you gotta be in the house at 8 o'clock, or you can't go out and practice. No, you had to do this, you had to clean the house, you had to do this. So, I mean, certain structure is definitely good, but at the same time, it's like, you know, sometimes you just gotta let them be, and if you have talent, like, you know, it all pan out.
But that's what I was meaning earlier about it being looked at as a hustle, right? Like you mentioned Funkmaster Flex. I'm positive he didn't come into this as it was like a hustle. You understand? Like he had a plan, and even when you see his car show, and I think he just opened a sneaker shop, like he has a business sense and a plan about it. But I think within the Caribbean, and that is why government officials aren't taking it as serious, they don't look at soca as a viable commodity. They just look at it as, you know, this is what somebody's singing down the road, and it's entertaining. But as you said, like somebody will ask you, well, what else do you do? You understand? So, all right, so you're Dr. J, but what else do you do?
Are you a plumber? What do you do? A carpenter?
Yeah, like there had to be something else, right? Because you can't.
All you do is DJ. It don't make sense. This and that.
Right. But if you're Funkmaster Flex or Cypher or whoever else, they will understand.
You would be shocked to hear if Funkmaster Flex has a day job. Like, why?
Right.
What would you need that for?
Exactly. But within the Caribbean, for whatever reason, they feel, and as we were saying earlier, there's a lot of artists who do have other 9-to-5s, right? So when you look at them, it's hard for them to even invest totally in it because they're afraid of taking that jump because of how other people look at it. And it's just like back in the day how people used to look at, you know, people who play pan, it's like, nah, that isn't for, you know, like Bajans do that. Like that isn't something that everyone's supposed to do. It is the national instrument of Trinidad and Tobago now. It's something that, you know, people are fighting over, well, I hear it singing in Japan and they're billing it there, you know? So now Trinidad's trying to take it more serious and say, okay, no. We have to research this and develop this. But you should have done this since 19 how long, right? So my thing with the music is until we as a community, and it may take somebody from outside to do it, but somebody has to start taking it more serious and saying, okay, look, this is what it is. And because as you were mentioning earlier about, well, what is soca? That is going to be a question, but there are so many different styles of soca. So the traditional way of thinking will be, oh, it's the jump and wave. That's what I think of when I go to a resort and they play it. But right now, the groovy soca is taken over, as we were mentioning. So there's like a different swing. That is what's going to have more longevity. So even though Marshall is winning awards for Ministry of the Road with Power, Monarch, and Road March, the song that may last longer though will be Haunted or Happy Smile Alive, right? So it's something where there needs to be a foundation built, and I don't have the answer as to who's going to do it, but we need that in order to see the music prosper. you need to have that somehow for the music as a whole, or else it'll just be individuals. We'll just be here talking 5 years from now, and you'll say, all right, well, this one bust and that one bust, right? And but on a whole, the music itself wouldn't get that respect.
So it seems on a whole there has to be some unity involved. I spoke to Kez very briefly, and in the 2 minutes that we spoke together, that was the theme.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's gone very far. His band has gone very far with the music that they have, and they can sing all kinds of music. But in order for Kez the band, for Marshall Montano, for all these big acts to actually break through and be as big as you want, they have to come together to build. Because one person standing on their own is just, like you said, it's just one person. It's not going to go that far. So they have to come together to build the genre.
Mm-hmm.
It's not, all right, we're coming together. It's for everybody to push Kez up
Right.
because he's the young one and he's going to be the new Marshall. But that's not why we're pushing you through. We're pushing the music that you're pushing through.
Exactly.
So if we could find, if they could find a way to use the unity in some way to build the genre itself, then that would be the key.
Yeah, totally. Because it's unfortunate. Like, you will have, out of 100 people, 50 people are going to say, all right, Bungie is that one, we're going to push him, we love him, the music, he's been fighting all the time. And the other 50 are saying, I waited to see what is after differentology. I go sit back and I go laugh when you don't come true. You know? And it's unfortunate that we have that crabs in a barrel, you know, mentality of, in order to get myself higher, I had to pull this thing out. And until, as a community, we stop that, the music as a whole won't go up because everyone is going to be down at the bottom of the bucket. Like, we cannot survive like that. We cannot get the respect that we deserve. The music is, we were talking earlier, I've been to some different places, and to see how far the reach is, and to get emails from certain places, and even hearing other DJs and how far they've gone, you realize the foundation, like, it wasn't because I'm Dr. J, it's the music, it's SOCA that got me there, right? It's nothing else. So I realized that the music is reaching globally, internationally, everybody loves it. Everybody knows a lot of these big songs, but why isn't it that we're not seeing the sales? Right? It's because we could all go on different websites and download it, or we're on this email blast and everybody has it. But they service hip-hop artists, right? A lot of people get Drake's song before it was released, and you know what I mean? You get a pre-release, but you still buy the album. You still go and you buy Rihanna. So why is it that we don't see the sales for SOCA? So until the community unites and supports, because I mean, at the end of the day, it's a music business. It's a business. Once they see this one sells X amount, they're gonna find the next one to sell that. You know what I mean? But if they see it's a flash in the pan and there's nobody else, okay, this will play for a few months, and we'll jump on to the next one in the next 2-3 years.
So unity is the word. The word of the day for SOCA Say So. So that was a great conversation, guys. Thanks so much for coming. I have to give a shout out to where we are right now. We are in Brooklyn, New York at Children's Corner Learning Center, and they were kind enough to give us the space for the day. So thank you for that, Children's Corner. Like them on Facebook, please. And now we want to get to our rapid fire questions. Just a few questions to give your fans a little insight into how you guys think on your feet.
I'm afraid.
Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Not too bad. A little B. What do you drink when you're playing?
Water.
Lying.
Everybody knows I'm not a drinker like that. If I do, I drink a little Coke, a little something, maybe a Hennessy and Coke. But since I started so young, that's what happened. Since I started DJing so young, my mother always said, you know, when I started driving and stuff, like, don't be drinking and driving. That's all I do, drink and drive. So I kind of like got in that habit. I never used to really drink much. I go to the bar, they'll give me some orange juice or give me some pineapple juice. They'll be like, well, you ain't drinking a real drink. I'm just like, I'm gonna just do that for my mom, so she always say,
We like that. We like that. Stay responsible.
Yeah.
Dr. J, name one new artist that you think may have some longevity in SOCA scene.
Irfan Alex. Yeah. Very good songwriter. Definitely has some longevity for him.
Yeah, EA. Lil B.
Yes.
Do you plan your sets?
No, you always have to feel a vibe when you're going. You can't go in and say like, all right, this is what I'm playing, this is what I'm playing. Yeah, everybody, which I learned from like some of the older DJs, yeah, you have certain ways or certain truths like kind of lined up in a way, but in a way it's just like, you just have to feel the vibe and just go off of it and just feel the crowd. You can't never just go in and say like, this is what I'm going to play, this is what I'm going to exactly do, and it has to be this way. And I can't go and make a crate in my laptop for a certain effect and just go off of it and just say, it's exactly what I'm going to play. You just got to just wing it and go off of it.
Dr. J, name one song.
Why are you getting all this? All right. Let me go. Name one song. Okay.
Name one song that you know for sure will hit every time.
A new song or just any?
Any song.
A song that will hit any time.
That's kind of easy. I mean, you could pick that out of a hat.
Yeah, I mean, but it depends. Like, I think a timeless one will be like a dollar wine. Like, sometimes it's nice to catch people off guard, and whether I do weddings or corporate or, you know, even fests, and you kind of throw that in, and people are like, wow.
You throw it in the right way.
Yeah. Well, I remember my dad has always told me, it's like, every tune could be a big tune, it depends when you play it. Because I've seen people flop the biggest song in the world because of how they play it. And everybody stand up like, is that how you play it? Like, nah, you know what I mean? So it's how you build up and you play it and it'll get a forward.
I can play a song away, Dr. J come right after me, play the same way I just played, but he played a different way, and he would get a bigger forward with me because like, oh, it was played differently.
But I wouldn't play the same song.
I mean, he would, but I'm just using that as an example. I'm just using that as an example.
Try it.
Okay, songs that you would mix with Kicking You Back.
See, again, it's hard to predict it now. Like, if it was you that was in front of me, right? And you whining and you bending and you saying kicking the back door, right? Then, you know, I might drop like a bend over my shell to play along with the whole thing. You know, it kind of depends on the crowd, yeah. That's in front.
You write that down.
Or if you're playing more for a crowd that is definitely more diverse and it's from up the islands, then, you know, you might draw for something a little different. Whether you stay on an Antigua flex, you know what I mean? You might go more the classic claims like Boston Nuts or like, you know, it really depends on the crowd that's in front of you. You know, depending on who's in front, that's the kind of way you kind of swing it. So you see how they react and you're like, all right, I had it. I can do this or I can do that.
Yeah, I like it too. Just
don't say like this. Don't try that.
Like, it's kind of like you go out the head. You just gotta kind of like feel it, and that's what makes DJs. You gotta like feel music. Black Adam from Grenada, which is whole lady German. I mean, people would.
Yeah, you're gonna get fight up if you didn't say that.
One thing it's
I want to show free playing talk about my nose or something like that.
Good save.
Good. Thanks so much for coming out for the first DJ turntable. It was great. It was a blast. It was good to get to know you guys, and we learned a lot about you, and we learned about what you're thinking. And we've got a few takeaways. One of which is support. Support seemed to be integral to how you both got to where you are today. And we've also figured out that unity is what's going to get SOCA in the future. Yeah. Get it to that money state, get it to all over the globe, even further, get it on the radio all over the globe, not just in effect, and get it respected all over the globe. So support and unity means everybody has to work together. SOCA says.
Dr. J, can you move over to your right? In?
In?
This way, yeah. Just a little bit more. Little B, can you move to your left a little bit?
Testing 1, 2. I hear something?
Hi, welcome to SOCA Say So.